He was under a sink. The phone rang once. One ring on an ordinary Tuesday. By the end of this, it has a price, and the price is measured. Small home service shops, one van, sometimes two, book about 24% of the calls that come in. Shops big enough that somebody sits at a desk all day and does nothing but answer, book 59. Same trade, same tools, same town. The only difference the data can find is whether anybody was free to pick up. That gap is not a sales problem. Nobody on the small side is worse at the work or worse with people. One man cannot be under a sink and next to a phone at the same time. That is not a survey or a guess. ServiceTitan pulled it out of 3,000 trade businesses across America and Canada and published it in June of 2022. The Census Bureau counts more than 8 in 10 residential construction businesses in America with no employees at all. Not a small team, not a skeleton crew, nobody. The owner is the technician. He is also the dispatcher, the estimator, the man chasing a parts order at 4:30, and the one doing invoices at 9 at night with the television on in the other room. So when the phone rings at 11 in the morning, it rings in an empty van. 4 calls come in between noon and 5. The first arrives while he is flat on his back under a kitchen sink, both hands wet, phone face up on the counter, 18 inches from his ear. The second lands while he is up a ladder, jacket at the bottom of it, 40 rungs down, the phone buzzing against a paving slab. The third comes on the ring road with a van full of copper and the radio up. He sees that one 40 minutes later. The fourth he catches, 4:10, standing in somebody's hallway with his gloves off. That one becomes a job. That one pays for the week. The other 3 are already somebody else's customers. It gets worse after 6. That is when a boiler dies, when a pipe lets go behind a wall. In those hours, in ServiceTitan's data, the small shops book 9% of what comes in. And the person on the other end is not shopping around. They have water coming through a ceiling and a mixing bowl underneath it. They call the next name on the list. The next name answers. Put a number on it. This is a whiteboard, not an invoice. Watch which parts of it are measured and which parts are guessed, because most numbers you see about this are guesses wearing a suit. Assume 100 calls a month. Assume the average job is $400. Assume half the quotes turn into work. 3 assumptions, all yours to change, and boxed off on the board for that reason. One number here is measured, the booking rate. 24% against 59 out of ServiceTitan's 3,000 real businesses, and nobody in that sum is idle. The small shop is answering every call it is physically able to answer. 24 calls booked, 12 jobs, $57,600 a year. 59 booked, 29 jobs, $141,600. The distance between those 2 lines is about $84,000 a year. Same vans, same tools, same town, and not one extra dollar spent on making the phone ring in the first place. Move the assumptions and the size moves with them. Lower job value, smaller gap. Better close rate, bigger. Only the booking rate is doing real work in that sum, and it is the only part somebody actually counted. ServiceTitan puts it another way in that same report. For a shop with 5 to 14 technicians, every 5 points of booking rate is worth about $100,000 a year. This is not a trades problem. It is also not a new one. In 2011, 3 researchers, James Oldroyd, Christina McElheron, and Dave Elkington, sent test inquiries to 2,241 American companies, and then simply waited to see who called back. 37% answered inside an hour. A quarter took more than a day. They published it in the Harvard Business Review under a title that has aged far too well. The short life of online sales leads. 23% never answered at all, not once. Answering inside that first hour made a company roughly 7 times more likely to get a real conversation with the person who had written in. A much bigger multiple than that gets quoted all over the internet. It does not survive a look at the paper, so you will not hear it here. 15 years since. Better phones, better software, an entire industry built on solving exactly this. The number has barely moved. Because the thing in the way was never attention, it was headcount. So what actually works, and what does it cost? These are current market ranges, not recommendations, and the last one on the list is an estimate rather than a measurement. Cheapest first. Call forwarding to a second phone. Free in about 4 minutes. It moves the ring. It does not create a person to hear it. Missed call text back. $5 to $120 a month. It buys you attention, a message inside a few seconds. It does not book the job. Software that answers and holds a diary, $200 to $300 a month. It will book a Tuesday at 10 perfectly well. It is much poorer with somebody standing in 6 inches of water at 11 at night. A live human service runs $200 to $1,500 a month. Best in an emergency. The overage charges arrive in exactly the month you were busiest, which is the month you needed it most. Hiring somebody, fully loaded, is around $50,000 to $55,000 a year. The gold standard, and out of reach for one van. The strongest argument against that whole ladder is a good one. Answering more calls is not free. A one-van shop that suddenly books 59 out of 100 has 59 jobs in one pair of hands, and a customer sitting on a booked slot 3 weeks out is angrier than one who never got through. That lands, and it changes the target. The goal was never volume. It is that the woman who called at 20 to 7 with a burst pipe got a human voice and a time instead of a beep, and that the 2 calls you cannot take get handed on rather than dropped. Which is why voicemail does not count. Nobody standing in water leaves a message, and telling a man who has been on his knees since 7 to check his phone more often is not a fix. It is a complaint. There is one named case in the file. ServiceTitan published a study of its own customer, the Mullikin Group, a bath fitting business with 6 locations, reporting sales up about $1 million over 2 months once callbacks got faster. A vendor writing about its own customer. We went looking for an independent version, one that nobody was selling anything with, and could not find a single one in this entire industry. That absence is worth more than the case is. Back to the whiteboard. Wednesday has 4 jobs on it now, written in 2 different hands, because somebody wrote 2 of them down while he was flat on his back under a sink. The board did not get smarter. It stopped having holes in it where a Tuesday afternoon used to be. So here is the price of that one ring on the only numbers anybody has actually counted. Across a year, about $84,000. Nothing about the work had to change. He is still the best plumber on that list, still slow with paperwork, still under a sink at 11 in the morning. You cannot be in 2 places at once. You can make sure the phone is.